Alright guys, so in today's video, we are going to go over when you should be hiring sales reps versus GTM engineers. So right now, there is a lot of buzz going around hiring GTM engineers and replacing your sales team with GTM engineers and everything like that. So I'm going to cover all of those things and explain what GTM engineer does, when you should be hiring sales rep versus GTM engineers, and how you should make sure those two roles complement each other. So let's dive straight into the screen and let's go through it together. So I have this diagram over here. So let me explain everything in a second here. So let me remove these things, right? So let's say we have these things, right? So on the bottom, we have the number of SDRs in your team. And on the left side, there is the output efficiency, right? So let's say when you hire SDR, your first SDR, you have been receiving like good output, let's say, and the output is here. And when you start hiring more SDR, people think the output is going to look like this and they are going to have exponential growth, but that's not the case. What happens most of the time is it just fluctuates. So with your second SDR, you might have the output here, but with your third, fourth, fifth SDR, right? What happens is you might have output here, for some output here, and for others output here, and this, and this pattern repeats, right? And what happens is it just fluctuates. As you could see in this diagram, it just fluctuates, right? It does not remain consistent, it just fluctuates. So whenever you are hiring more SDRs, their output efficiency, sometimes it's at the top and they're doing great, and some other days it's very bad, right? It's made or very bad. That's what happens when you start focusing on hiring more SDRs. Now, a lot of people think hiring more GTM engineer here is the right thing to do, but you don't need a lot of GTM engineers. We'll talk about that in a second, but before that, let me show you what actually SDR should be doing and how everything works, right? So let's say these are your SDR, and we'll talk about this person in orange in later. So these are SDR, right? And what they are supposed to do is SDR most of the time should be building relationship here, and they should be trying to like get deals with the people and everything like that, right? They should be doing things that are not usually scalable. And what happens most of the time is SDR are doing these things, but they just have to go out of their boundary to get other things. So for example, let's say we have this SDR and he might have to go out to find lead lists, and then he might have to come back again and he have a lead list, right? Then he has to go out to find recent news or anything as such. And then he again comes into his like circle, that like he comes back to his circle to do the things that he should be doing. And he again goes out, comes in, he goes out, comes in, and this pattern repeats again and again. And you know what happens when they are doing like back and forth here, like they are going out and in out, what happens is they are crossing the boundary that they have here, right? This is the boundary that they have. And I'm not talking about hard boundary, like yes, SDR can build their own lead list and everything, but what happens is their energy is diluted. So whenever they have like they have been going in and out, they get a lot of noise, right? And they bring a lot of noise from this outer circle in here. What happens is they're not able to properly focus on the things that matters the most, which is building relationship and closing more deals, or helping AE close more deals, right? And they are focusing on all type of prospects. Sometimes they are here focusing on like tier 1 prospects, and sometimes they are here building lead lists for tier 2 or tier 3 prospects that are not that important. And the reason they're not able to identify these things is because they don't have clarity on these things, and they have a lot of noise from these outer circle coming in. And people think like if you hire more SDR, they're able to solve that problem, but that's not how it works. So when you have more SDR, there will be more noise. So this guy will be going here, this person will be going here, and as you can see, as you could imagine, more noise will be coming in here from outside world, right? So you have noise from all these places that are coming in here. And what happens over time is this circle right here is filled with all the noise that are not needed. And then SDR are not able to focus on the things that matters the most. So as you could see, like SDR don't have clarity here. They don't know what is important for them. They don't like, they focus on things that does not even matter for them, right? So that's one of the biggest problem right now with the SDR model that is out in the market saying like, hey, let's hire more SDR to fix this problem. That's not the right thing to do. So let me just delete a lot of these things and let me show you what is the right way to go about this, right? So let me just make this bigger, right? So what these SDR are supposed to do is they are supposed to be here doing the things that matters the most for them. And here comes this guy who is a GTM engineer. And what their role is to provide these SDRs with all the supports, right? So SDR might need a lead list. This guy provides it. This guy provides the phone number. This guy provides all the news. Like everything is properly enriched and all the information are provided to SDR. So that way SDR don't have to go out of their own circle and they could focus on the things that they are based at. And this guy right here, this GTM engineer, what he is doing is he is basically supporting them with all the things that matters that are outside their circle, right? So maybe they need information on the list or they want to like reach out to their prospect with signal based campaigns and everything like that. So what this guy doing here is he is basically helping them with providing all this information and saying, hey, this is the right time to reach out to this prospect. That's what GT engineering is doing. And it's not just the outbound side that they help with the inbound as well, right? So let's say you have a lot of leads coming in and SDR, they are treating all of them as equal. But what this guy does is, if a lead is coming from the website inbound lead, this guy qualifies the leads. And if it's a tier 2 or tier 3 leads, he's going to add them to an automated sequence. And if it's a tier 1 lead, then he's going to provide it to SDR. So these people, SDRs, they are focusing on the like highest tier leads and they're building relationship with them. And we're not ignoring the tier 2 or tier 3 leads. They are also being focused, but we are reaching out to them via automated messages and LinkedIn messages and things like that. And the reason for that is the priority is not as important as the tier 1 list, right? And another example for the outbound side itself is, let's say you have 100,000 prospects in your TAM, and out of them, only like 10,000 of them are, let's say, tier 1, or they are tier 2 or tier 3. Now, if you don't have a GTM engineer in place, then these SDRs will treat all of these 100,000 leads as equal leads, right? But what this GTM engineer right here is doing is, this person is helping these SDR with clarity, first of all. So this GTM engineer is going to do all the magic, like use tools like Clay, Claude, and everything else, and then find out how many out of these 100,000 people are actually tier 1 or tier 2 or tier 3, let's say, right? And then he maps them all and then provide these tier 1 leads to these 3 SDRs. So right now, that way they can work on 3K leads each, right? But if they were focusing on this 100K list, they would be working with 33,000 lists, and they would have no idea about how many of those 33,000 leads are actually tier 1 versus tier 2 versus tier 3, right? So they are just throwing dart blindfold, and they don't know what works, they don't know like which lead are important and things like that. And what happens is, because of all the noise that these SDR are getting, they are basically not able to catch prospects at the right time. And by the time they reach out to tier 1 prospect, most of the time they would have gone with someone else who prioritized them by like having GTM engineer in the first place. Now, yes, a lot of these things that I mentioned can be done by SDRs, but the problem, as I said earlier, is SDRs are good at building relationship and closing deals or helping AE close deals. So if they start focusing on like these other things, they are just like bringing noise from the outside world into their world. So that's where GTM engineering comes in. And what happens is, whenever you have like GTM engineer, what happens is, let me show you something. So this is the number of SDR and this is the result or the efficiency, right? Now, previously it was like this. We were like, it was fluctuating. So sometimes the output were very great and sometimes the output was not that great. So when you have a GTM engineer in the team, what happens is, when you have 1-2 SDR, it's gonna look like this, right? And it's just gonna compound over time. So by the time you have like I don't know, maybe like you, most of the time, if you are hiring GTM engineer, like the goal is you don't have to have too many SDRs on the team because they help your SDRs amplify their outcome, right? So right now, if they are putting 1x to get 1.2x output without GTM engineering, they might get 1.2, 1.3x output. But if you hire a GTM engineer, that's where you're going to have leverage. So for every 1x input that your SDR give, they might get 3x output. And this is the leverage, right? So by the time you have three SDRs, they are going to get 9x output versus like if you have three SDR, that's going to be how much? 3.6 times output, right? So this is the concept here. So by the time you have 3 SDR, the output is gonna be 9x, and it's just gonna grow like this forever. And like I won't say forever because you will not be hiring more SDRs again and again. You would need maybe one GTM engineer paired with 5 SDR is an overkill. But if you just pair one GTM engineer with 3 SDRs, then that's enough for most of the companies. Versus if you were to do that using just SDRs, using like previous playbook, as I mentioned, you would need like 10 SDRs on your team, which is gonna be super difficult, right? So that's where this person, this GTM engineer comes in. And their job is to help SDR with like basically getting more leverage, right? So leverage is when you get higher output for the same number of input, right? That's what the GTM engineer does. They just help these SDR with getting more output for the same number of input that they are putting in. And they are helping SDRs to clarify, to differentiate between what's noise and what's important for them. And basically, SDR could just stay within their boundary and do the things that they are good at and build relationship with the prospects and do the things that are not scalable, right? So one-on-one demos, it could be cold calling and things like that. That's where SDR thrives, and your GTM engineer would help them do those things properly. So yeah, that's how you should go about hiring GTM engineers versus hiring SDRs. Like hiring more SDRs is not the way to go in 2026 right now, because you could get a lot of those things done by AI and automation. And I'm not even talking about like just simple AI, right? You could have like right now, for example, ChatGPT has integration with Clay. So you could use that. Your SDR could use that and do a lot of tier one prospecting there. And same for Claude Code as well, right? A lot of people, non-technical people, they are using Claude Code to do prospecting as well. So it's just about finding the right person who knows how to make tools talk to each other, and who can help them basically help SDRs stay within their boundary and do the work that they are good at. That's what GTM engineer should be doing at your company if you're looking to hire them. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. If you want to learn more about how we provide GTM engineering as an outsourced service, then feel free to go down and book the call with us.